Mr. Netanyahu, thank you very much for this interview.
It's my pleasure.
It's been a great honor.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. I said today to the President that it took me about 40 minutes to fly from Israel to Cyprus. 40 minutes and 63 years. It's the first time an Israeli Prime Minister has visited Cyprus. It's long overdue, and I'm very happy to be the first Prime Minister to do so.
So your visit establishes a new era in relations between the two countries. How can you describe this new era?
It's a natural partnership. It's a partnership of common values and common interests. Common values because, Israel and Cyprus are two liberal democracies, real democracies that respect the rule of law and individual rights and majority rule. And the democracy is not only the elections, it's what happens between the elections. Sure. So this is one natural bond, which is not that common in our area. And the second thing is common interests, and common interests of tourism, agriculture, economy, energy, gas, which we've both just found. So I think that for all these reasons, this is, as I say, this is a relationship that was bound to happen, and I'm glad that it's happening.
Before we discuss about gas, I would like to ask one more question about the relations. Cyprus, as you know, maintains good relations with the Arab countries in the region, from which some of them do not have very good relations with Israel. Does it bother you, or do you think this is an obstacle?
No.
For
I think it was an obstacle over the years, not from our side, but I think from a Cypriot perspective, and now people realize that it's such a changing world that nations should follow their interests. Sometimes their interests are diverse to keep relations with both sides. But I wish I could tell you that there were no Arab countries that are interested in Israel. We have quite a few who are very interested in not only maintaining but strengthening their relations with Israel because of the shifting sands, the convulsions that are rocking the entire Arab world.
So Cyprus could play a role there?
Well, I think that there's always room to help us achieve peace if there's a desire for peace on the other side. We have such a desire. But I think the more important thing is in this changing world, when so much is happening, that countries first define what is their immediate interest. And I would say that we have clear common interests and clear common values. So it's a natural partnership.
Cyprus and Israel launch cooperation in energy. What would one expect from that?
Well, we have to see, because we've discovered quite a bit of gas, and you're on the verge of making these explorations, which I hope will be successful. You seem to have already one field. You may have more. It may be that for certain installations to export the gas, because from our point of view, the main benefit is not merely lower energy costs and cleaner air in Israel, but also the ability to export. That it may be advantageous with certain facilities like pipelines and other facilities to join together so we have sufficient scale to justify these expensive facilities. And this could be done first between Cyprus and Israel, and then we can see if there are other partners in the region. Why not?
And maybe supply Europe?
Supply Europe, maybe supply Asia, maybe supply both. Depends on how much we find. And it would be good to have these export markets. Also, it would be good to have important countries invest and be part of, either as investors or as buyers, or as both, in these new gas findings that we have.
So at this point, we're examining all the scenarios?
All of them. What we know, I say that we had a lot of common interests that have literally come to the surface of the water. And now we have to take them out of the water, ship them to markets. And we may have a situation where the sum is bigger than the individual parts. By cooperating, we may benefit both our countries a lot more than by acting separately.
So this is for Israel and Cyprus. Greece is also in the game because there is a revival of relations.
Yes, very much so. I mean, we have had a similar natural renewed friendship with Greece. Actually, not even renewed. For the first time, we had real, I would say, intensification of economic relations, tourism. 2 years ago, there were very few tourists, Israeli tourists in Greece. I think less than 100,000. And I think last year it was almost 400,000. So you can have similar growth, I hope, in Cyprus. And since my visit to Athens preceded the rise in Israeli tourists, I hope that the same thing happens here. It's close enough. And I invite the Cypriot audience who's listening to us now to come to Israel. A lot of common places, including the origins of Christianity, as you know.
According to all information, the relations between Turkey and Israel are in the razor's edge.
I wouldn't say that, but I think they were better, and they deteriorated not from our choice. And from our point of view, we'd like to have good relations with Turkey. This is not our choice. It was a Turkish choice.
So how do you consider the effort of Turkey to become the big brother of the area?
Well, a brotherhood would be good. Big brothers is not such a good idea. I would say that, we are all living in this part of the world. We have to find ways to live in it in tranquility and peace and in security and prosperity.
Because in our point of view, Turkey is behaving as if the Mediterranean is her own exclusive territory.
Well, I'm not going to...
Even today, I know that you're aware that the Turkish aeroplanes were doing military exercises.
Well, look, I understand that there are problems. I hope that Cyprus can solve its problems with its neighbors the way we want to solve our problems with our neighbors, which is when we have a dispute, we want to solve it through negotiations, peaceful negotiations, direct negotiations of the parties. That's the way we think our problem should be solved, and that's the way your problem should be solved. That's the way we look at it.
Although if we want to make business in the neighborhood, we're supposed to have peace.
You're supposed to have peace. We want to see peace. We want good relations with everyone. And I think that my visit here is an indication of our desire, first of all, to strengthen the bilateral relations between Cyprus and Israel. And
are you willing to guarantee the peace in the neighborhood?
Well, we're not getting into that kind of discussion. We discussed economic cooperation, the gas cooperation. We discussed things like bird watching. I think, why would we be talking about birds? Because birds get into, you have civilian jet planes, and their birds get into the engines, and the planes can fall from the sky. So we're anything from that to the exploration of gas to tourism and so on. I think this is what we're discussing now. Mm-hmm. It's very fruitful.
And with Iran, there is a very dangerous background. I've heard you today saying that it's a very dangerous country.
It is.
Actually, your government believes that Tehran is responsible or behind those bomb attacks of the last weeks or the last days.
Yeah, it's not that we believe it. We know it, for sure. They found Iranians.
Mm-hmm. So will you respond to that?
Iranians, dead Iranians, with Iranian passports.
So will you respond to that?
Well, it's a problem for the world. The world, they conducted these terror attacks on diplomats in various countries. Before that, they tried to kill Saudi Arabia's diplomat in the United States. It's a country that has no bounds, literally. I mean, it just breaks every possible international norm. So this is not merely a problem for Israel. It's certainly a problem for Israel.
Although now it's threatening Israel. Now
it's threatening Israel, but if they have atomic weapons, it'll threaten the entire world. So, we've heard what the international community says, what the United States says, what the European countries say, and many others say, that Iran should not be allowed to have nuclear weapons, and that's correct. That should be the main focus of, I think, of the international community these days.
Mm-hmm. So, what's your message to the Cypriots that are watching us right now?
It's a message of friendship. It's a message of warmth. We have, in this shifting seas and shifting sands, we have two societies anchored in democratic values with a common heritage. I would say that our civilization, our free civilization, was the result of Greek civilization and Jewish values. Athens and Jerusalem, no disregard for Turkey, no disregard for Cyprus either, no disregard for anyone. But our common Western civilization was based on these two great societies that fused and created this unique civilization. And now it's the most natural thing that Cyprus and Israel and many others are now discovering that we have these natural bonds. And I think it's a very good thing. Good for our values, good for our interests.